Hi, this is Roy Worley. Welcome to the interview show that brings on guests from all walks of life. Yeah, it's here that they tell their stories and delve a little deeper into their lives to see what got them where they are. So grab a drink, have a seat, and relax, because this is the Leo Effect.
When was the last time a short movie shook your emotions to the core? When was the last time a short movie caused you to rethink everything you stood for? When was the last time a short movie made you proud to be an American? When was the last time you felt the emotion to stand up and cheer after a short movie? The new short movie, I've Got Your Six, written and directed by Bill Foster, one of the industry's newest and fastest climbing directors, will answer all of those questions. Rarely has there been so much packed into a short movie that when you leave, you'll feel more proud of our American military veterans. A movie that was cast only with American military veterans will have you on the edge of your seat, cheering for our veterans and what makes America great. I've Got Your Six will be hitting the film festival scene soon. Be prepared to drop what you're doing and go see this powerful movie when it comes to your area. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Leo Effects. Now, today I'm joined by a very special guest. That little clip that you heard at the beginning of the intro there, that was one of his singles, a clip of one of his singles that released last spring, as I recall. And it's kind of leading into an album that he's got coming out in June. And we're going to talk all about that. But first, I want to introduce my guest for this evening, Steve Ray Ladson. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. How about you?
Same. Can't complain. I got some good things going on, and I got you here to talk to me tonight. So, perfect end to a perfect day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's a good thing. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of talked about it a little bit there, but would you consider yourself a musician, a musical artist, a producer?
I'm all of that in one. I'm a musician, artist, producer, writer, engineer, whatever I need to be when I need to be, right? Nah, but
Okay.
yeah, I like to call myself a jack of all trades.
Okay. All right. So you handle everything yourself. You don't have like a team that does your editing and things like that for you?
Well, I mean, sometimes, but most of the time I do most of the editing myself and stuff. I have a engineer who comes in and mixes and masters like at the end and stuff like that. But as far as my recording process, I pretty much do everything myself, and then just take it to a bigger studio who's got all the converters and all of the compressors and stuff, and let them clean it up and get other ears involved on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I do have a team for that. Yep. But for the creative process, I pretty much handle that on my own.
Speaking of creative process, like how do you come up with your music?
Oh man, it's just music is always like happening for me. Like when you travel, when you walk around, and when you're singing and doing different gigs, different places, or when you're like just all around. It's always a creative process during the day. You always see things that make you think about a song, or you always hear things that make you think about a certain sound. So the creative process pretty much goes on all day, and then you finally get that moment where you're at a computer or somewhere you can lay that thing down that you've been thinking about all day, and then it becomes more than an idea. It becomes, a pattern, or it becomes a roadmap, and then now you got that piece down, and you just keep adding on to it, as time goes by. Sometimes you get to put down two or three different ideas, you know, at a time, just because you don't know exactly which one you're gonna do, or you just hear them all. That you just hear so many things at one time. It's just it's a creative process. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. What got you into music in the first place?
Music is in my family. My dad, my mom, my uncles and aunts, they're all singers and musicians and artists. Some can draw, so art was a big thing in the family, and then we just got a pair. Me and my brother got a pair of guitars from my dad, and my mom was an organ player slash bass player too. So she had the thing already, and we just got some guitars, man, and it was just hard work and practice. You don't know if you're gonna like something until you try. No, I know a lot of my other cousins picked it up, but they didn't like it as much as I did. So so it just if you like it and you love it, you'll keep doing it. And I picked it up and I began to love it, and it's became my thing now. It's pretty much all I do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great that you did that because you make some really great music. So, it worked out in everybody's favor.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy it did. I'm so happy it did, man.
Yeah. Where do you think you would be if music hadn't have worked out for you?
Um, had I not been in music, I probably been in like the Air Force or something like that. I would be in engineering. I was good at computer system design with drawing blueprints and stuff like that. So I probably would have been doing something of that nature.
Hmm.
But I'm so glad I'm not. Not that those are bad jobs; those are great jobs. Engineers make good money. Engineers make good money.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. How long did it
Yes.
take you to kind of figure out what your sound was?
Couple years, man. It takes a lot of time and practice. You don't necessarily know what your sound is or what works for you until you get response from people, and and you don't get a response from people until you get it in front of the crowd. So once people start hearing it and you start getting reactions, which may take a while. It may take you a while to get your music out there for people to hear. So I've been putting out a lot of stuff for a while, but it just wasn't the song where people be like, "Oh, that's a good song," or that's a or "I love that, I sing that," And then when you get that song that people is like, "Oh, I sing that," or "My son sings that," I play that song and my kids love it. That lets you know that you have a sound. You're in the either you have a sound or you're in the ballpark figure for getting it coming close to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. That's interesting that you explained it that way because it's very true. I mean, most people don't just jump right in knowing exactly what they're gonna do.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a whole process.
Yeah. What? How would you describe your sound?
My sound is soul, soulful, vintage, and funky in one. You know, some urban, some pop. But it's feel the soul. It's something you can feel. All of my songs you can feel. You can feel where it's going, or you can feel where it's coming from. You can feel something in there that makes you say, "Okay, this guy's got some it's got some soul in there. He's got a little something that might touch me a little. I felt something there."
Yeah, and it really does. Like your songs are just amazing. To be honest with you, the first time I heard them, I said, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to talk to this guy."
Oh yeah, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to get out and perform a couple of those songs here in the States, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you were touring with a different band in Australia when this COVID thing broke out, right?
Yes, I was. I was actually in Australia and New Zealand. We did an extensive tour in Australia and about a WOMAD festival out in New Zealand when COVID first came out. But it was crazy because it was like 30,000 people at the New Plymouth at the festival in New Plymouth for WOMAD, and nobody got coronavirus. It was just crazy.
That is crazy. Oh man, who were you touring with at the time?
I was touring with this legendary band called the Blind Boys of Alabama. They're a five-time Grammy Award-winning band. I've written songs for them. They have a new album out actually. They just signed a deal with this label out of I think it's Florence, Alabama, Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Single Lot Records. It's John Paul White's label, and they just released this album that I wrote two songs on. I co-wrote two songs on with the music director and Jimmy Sloan. One which was produced by a good friend of ours, Steve Berlin from Los Lobos. He produced one down at Fame and Muscle Shoals, and then another one which was produced in Nashville by a great engineer and producer named Vance Powell.
Heck, that's
So,
awesome. That's amazing. Were
yeah.
you part of Blind Boys of Alabama before or after you made your own stuff?
Um, I was part of the Blind Boys after I made my own stuff.
Oh, okay,
I,
cool.
I had my own stuff prior to, but I didn't have the the know-how or the experience
Mhm.
for that. So it was a difference. I didn't really get to experience what how to really. I didn't really become a writer until got with the Blind Boys and started hanging with people who really wrote songs.
Okay. All right. How did you end up meeting them or getting on with them?
Well, I knew the music director Joey Williams. I knew his, I know his son, who is LJ Little Joy, and Little Joy's homies and cousins from up in New York. We always had a relationship. We always hang out when they came down from New York to Carolina. So we would hang out, for a couple of years at a time, and then we finally got a chance to do a show together. And I played with Joey Williams, Big Joey, uh, and we played some songs. And it just so happened that the Blind Boys were looking for a musician at the time, a bass player at that time, and I ended up playing bass. And it worked out for Joey to hear me play bass, and he invited me on to become the bass or to try out. I tried out first,
Okay.
and then I got the gig. But I tried out on a gig. The gig was actually tryouts.
Oh, nice. Where was that at? Was that down in South Carolina?
It was Charlotte, North Carolina, and we did 2 gigs that weekend. It worked out perfectly because the the management, they didn't want to fly me in because I was a new guy. It was like as an audition, so you got to put in, at least pay your dues. If
Mhm.
you want the job, can you get to this certain place? So I was like, okay, I'll go and drive. I drove to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I drove to Virginia. I can't remember. I'm not sure if it was Charlottesville or it was Abingdon, Virginia. One of those two parts of Virginia. That was my first weekend with the Blind Boys. No rehearsal. I just listened to a couple songs that Joey sent me for the like on the see it like a demo. He sent me some demos of the stuff they were doing live, and I just went in and played with them on the fly, and I've been in the band ever since, man.
That's awesome. I couldn't imagine that had to be just a wild experience.
Yeah, man, it really was, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's nothing better. It's nothing better.
So you're the bass player, but in your music you're doing a piano. Do you play any more musical instruments?
Yeah, I play guitar too. I mostly play guitar in my band, but I'm playing piano on that particular song. So,
Yeah. So
yeah, so
do you prefer one of those over the other, or do you like them all equally?
I like them all equally. You know what I mean? I can play them all. It just depends. I guess it depends on who I'm playing with. Certain bands I like to play certain instruments.
Okay, I could pick up on that. That's cool.
Yeah, certain bands I would like to play a certain instrument.
Yeah. Now, is there anybody you would really like to do a collaboration with?
Uh, is there anybody I would like to do a collaboration with? Um, that's alive that I know of off the top of my head. I'm not really sure. Yeah, honestly, I would. I mean, I would like to do a collaboration with Hall and Oates.
Oh yeah.
You know, those guys are great. I like to do a if I you know I would do a song with them, or either Alan Parsons. He's another great. I actually worked with Alan Parsons before, but it was on somebody else's record. But
Mm.
it was pretty cool. But those are two top tier bands or two guys, guys that I would love to work with and do a song with. Besides Stevie Wonder, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, with Alan Parsons, your foot's already in the door, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly, because that's Nathan East and everybody else in the camp over there. Those are all of those are just some great guys.
Right. So I gotta ask, like, what do you enjoy the most about being a musical artist? Is it the writing? Is it the music, the composing, producing?
Um, I like it. I like. I just love the musical process, man. Because sometimes it could be. It could be. I just love music in general, because sometimes it's like making a track, producing a track, or it could be making a beat, or it could be actually writing the song. Because sometimes, you can just have so much fun in just writing the actual song, just as much as you have producing it or making the music to it, So and I have a lot of writing sessions with my friends and muscle shows. So we have a lot of fun just writing, and just with an acoustic guitar, sometimes we just have a lot of fun writing. And then we actually have fun recording it. We actually have fun producing it too, putting other instruments and adding, other stuff to it. So that process, man, I love the whole thing, man. It could be interesting the whole way through. It just depends on how you do it and the people you're working with. It's very
Okay.
interesting.
That's cool. That's a good way to be. I mean, just enjoying the whole process. That's
Yeah,
that's right on, man.
yeah, man. You gotta love it. You gotta love it, especially if you love it. It'll be a lot fun to because when you're writing, you're already putting out ideas and brainstorming with people, and you might say something that might just gel perfectly with something someone else said, and it's like a back and forth thing. It's like a meeting of the minds.
Yeah. Would you say that if you loved what you're doing, it changes the sound that's produced?
Yeah, I definitely does. I definitely do would say that. Yeah,
Okay.
because if you love it, it's gonna sound like you love
Right.
it.
And with that being the case, kind of to talk a little bit about what you've got going on, you got two singles out already that came out last spring.
Right.
And that's Do You Know and Calling Your Name, right?
That's exactly right.
Cool. And like what do those have any kind of hidden meaning or like a personal story behind them, or was it just something you were just kind of coming up with?
Those were both coming up with songs where, like I said, those were I was just like writing with my friends, and it was those songs both came up with in the middle of writing sessions where we had been writing songs for months and stuff, and we just be sitting around, and it's a kind of a norm, and ideas just come up, and those both of those songs came up, man, and they came out great. They came out really wonderful.
Yeah, they really did. How long did it take you to kind of put it all together from start to finish?
About 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
About 20, 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, because the music was already laid down. The longest part of the song was the lyrics.
Mhm. Okay. That
The longest part of the song was the lyrics, and it wasn't really so bad with the lyrics because the hook came so easily. I think I sung the hook about, the first time when we came up with it, when we were just messing around with it. I sung the "Do You Know" part. Well, like we singing like 3 hours straight, just messing, just being, having fun with it, just saying all kind of stuff. But when I really nailed down to put a pin to it and figure it out, it didn't take long. It was just it flowed like water.
wow. That's amazing to hear a story like that, cuz some people you hear they struggle with, oh, it took me years to come up with the what I wanted to say and all this, and you're able to just kind of jive it out like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it is, man. It's a blessing.
And in June you've got your album coming out. Are those songs going to be on your album, or is this all
They will.
completely fresh?
Oh no, they will. Those songs will be on the album, man. I got some more. The album is gonna be great, man. It's gonna be amazing, man. You guys, I can't wait for you guys to hear it and get a copy of it so you can let me know what you think. But I mean, I'm excited about it. It's got some of my finest work that I believe that I've ever done. So I'm excited to see what people think about it, man.
Oh wow. And what's the album going to be called? I mean, I
It's gonna
know, but
Oh, okay, yeah, the album is gonna be called "Sold Out." Like sold. Most people when you hear "sold out," you probably just think like you're talking about sold, as in you're selling your product and you don't have any more of the product. But it's sold out, like the soul, SOULED, the soul in your body. It's like you're sold out. You got so much soul in this. The album is sold out
that's a
from
that's
beginning
a
to the end.
great name.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. I like that a lot.
Nothing but soul in this record, man. Nothing but soul. From beginning to end, it's sold out.
Yeah. How many tracks are going to be on it?
As of now, it's gonna be 11. You know, I mean, I may add an extra little bonus track on there or something, maybe a little. I'm not sure, but right now it's just 11 on there that I've gotten already ready for it and prepared what I've decided. But I think it's gonna be 11.
That's cool. That's cool. And this is all going to be in your style, or did you kind of play around with some different styles on the other songs, or how'd you go about with that?
I got a few different. Um, it's all my style. All comes back to the soul.
Mm-hmm.
But I just did a few different things on it. I have this one track featuring one of my Latin buddies, you know, and it's I'm doing a little Spanish in there, you know, a little español, un poquito español, you know, put a little Spanish in there, you know, and I got a couple surprises in the record for some people, you know, and some pop, you know, got a little pop soul in there, you know,
Yeah. That's
pop rock and roll.
that's going to be great. I can't wait to hear that. It's kind of like a fusion.
Yeah, it's pop soul rock and roll.
Pop soul rock and roll. I like it. That's a good
Yeah,
catchphrase.
yeah, that's it, baby.
Yeah. And how is like being quarantined and having all these lockdowns? Like how's that affecting what you're doing? Are you still recording? Do you do live streams on Facebook or something? Like how are
Yes,
you how
I
are you
do.
handling stuff?
I do live streams. Yes, I do live streams. And I'm still recording. And as a matter of fact, I'm doing a live stream tonight. You know, so if everybody's out there that's listening, just tune in. You can always tune in. Catch me online, Steve Ray Latson. Just Google me on all social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Steve Ray Latson. You can catch me live. Or check my stories. I'm always creating them. Got pictures up there and stuff that I'm doing, so you can always keep up and see what's going on. Even with this quarantine, we're still, you know, creating and making moves.
Right on. Right on. What advice would you have for somebody that's just starting out in the music industry?
My advice to someone who's starting out in the music industry, is to keep pushing. You know, that's number one, because it's not going to be easy, and you're going to have a lot of downfalls. You're going to run into a lot of bricks, you know, a lot of dead ends. You know, you're gonna have to make a lot of sacrifices. It's gonna be a long road. If you want to do this music thing, you know, and be amongst stars, and you know, and do it how the big timers do it, it's gonna cost you. You know, it's gonna be you're gonna have to put in some hard work. So you got to keep pushing. No matter what happens, you got to keep pushing. You just got to keep pushing. No matter what it is, you can't let anybody, you know, dictate to what you're doing. You have to have your mind made up and keep doing it, you know, because a lot of people are not made for the struggle. And it is a struggle, you know. Things don't happen overnight. It could take years, it could take months. You know, it's like the lottery. Some people play the lottery all their life and never hit. And then some people hit the first time they play it when they walk in the store. And then some people play for 20 years and they finally get a break. You know, it
Cool.
just depends.
I like it. That's some good advice, man. That's realistic, is what it is.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is. You got to stay with it. You got to stick with it, though. You know, you got to stick with it. And it's hard work. You got to practice. You got to stay practicing, and you got to stay sharpening your skills, because every day someone is practicing. The young bucks are practicing. You know, they don't have much to do, so it's like, you know, there's always somebody coming up behind you that can do the same thing you do, or if not better. You know, so you got to stay on your p's and q's, and be a perfectionist. You got to be a perfectionist.
Yeah. Well, it kind of speaking of, this life isn't for everybody kind of thing, like do you have a lot of support from your family, or do they kind of get annoyed that you're on tour all the time and always recording and things like that?
I get a lot of support from them, but I believe that they would like for me to be home more. But I'm definitely getting a lot of support, because I'm kind of stepping over boundaries that nobody in my family has ever done. So it's kind of historical for them. But I do miss a lot of things. I'm away from the family a lot, and there's a lot that has happened. But thanks to COVID, I spend extended enormous amount of time with my family, and I'm ready to start back touring now. Whenever COVID feels like leaving, you know.
Yeah.
Thanks to COVID, I'm
Yeah.
spending an extended amount of time with them, and I know that they love me, and they know that I love them too. But I'm about ready to go now.
I got you. I got you. I think everybody's about ready to be let out off the leash, as it were. This is getting a little tiresome for everybody, but that is one of the
Yeah.
good things that come out of it, is that everybody's spending a little more time with their families now.
Yes, it is. It is one of the best things that could ever happen for the world, man.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
Well, in this last little bit of the show, I'd like to, you kind of touched on it earlier, but I'd kind of like you to reiterate it to let everybody know what your social medias are so that they can just get on there and follow all of your stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, north, east, south, and west, this is the Carolina Country Boy, Steve Ray Ladson. You can find me on all of your social media outlets as Steve Ray Ladson. That's LAD as in dog, SON. And you can just Google me and it'll take you to all of my sites, all of uh, my videos, music videos, my website, and all of my tags are Steve Ray Latson. My handles are Steve Ray Latson. Everything is wrapped right up under that. Stay tuned. You'll be able to pre-order my album soon, and I would like for everybody to get ready to pre-order this funky album that's coming. It's pop, soul, rock, and roll like you've never heard it before.
That's awesome. I love it. So
Yeah,
look, Steve, I just got to say thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to me today. Like, you've been an amazing guest. You really got some good insights, and it's been a blast chatting with you.
man. Thank you for the opportunity, giving me the time and the space to talk with you.
For sure, for sure. Anytime, man. Like, you got something new coming out in the future, let me know. We'll get you back on here to talk about it.
Well, man, thank you. I really appreciate it, man. I hope you stay safe during this time and enjoy family.
Absolutely. You as well. And
Yeah,
thank
thank you
you.
very much.
And thank you to all the listeners who tuned in to check this out. Make sure to click the link in the podcast description to go to his social medias. You're going to want to follow along because this is just the beginning of some awesome stuff that's coming out. So thank you all very much for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Oh, now that was an awesome interview. Thanks so much for listening. You all are so great. And don't forget to head to Facebook, Insta, and Twitter and follow The Leo Effects. If you want to hear some comedy and ridiculous voices, check out Shattered Dungeons on YouTube and all other places podcasts can be heard. And you'll hear me voicing crazy characters, usually pretty terribly. So thank you so much. You all are the absolute best. And we will see you all on the next episode.